Elizabeth Audencream.
This one's wife. Does she rage bait? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We know that this one's wife rage scrolls. The requirements of her narcissism compel her to know what is being said about her. This is so that she's moved to gather fuel, the lifeblood of the narcissist. This means she wants to know what's being said about her and written about her across news outlets, the media, including social media. Where it's good and fawning and appreciative and loving and admiring and adoring, it's all good, pure, positive fuel. Where it's criticism, it sent her into a rage because she doesn't regard herself as worthy of such criticism. Now, nobody likes to be criticised, but it's particularly worse when it comes to the narcissist, because it strikes at the necessity of the need for control that is central to the existence of the narcissist. But what about the possibility that this one's wife engages in rage baiting? In case you're not familiar with what rage baiting is, it's a deliberate act of posting something provocative for the purposes of generating engagement because people become annoyed and angry at what's being posted. The individual may not actually be like that, they may not actually have that belief, but they post something contentious because they know that it's going to get people wound up, which increases engagement. It's regularly used across social media by certain individuals who act as these provocateurs because it causes people to watch the video and comment upon it, thus increasing its reach and enabling them to get more views and possibly make more money. But what about this one's wife? Does she utilize rage baiting as a means to generate more fuel? Does she utilize rage baiting to allow her to access the prime aims of control of fuel, character traits, and residual benefits? I had seen on a forum that somebody debated whether the various things that she does, basically the fuck-ups and the sloppiness, is actually done to annoy people so that they will become engaged. For instance, the fact that she doesn't tie her hair back, or that she wears all of the jewellery when she's engaged in the supposed cooking and baking. The flaws with regard to the way that she handles things. The overall sloppiness of the creation of items. The manner in which she talks. The over-exaggerated hand gestures, etc., and plenty more. The query was, this overall sloppiness and contentious behaviour, is she doing it on purpose in order to drive a response, which, in the terminology of your glorious narrator, is the receipt of fuel and the potential for asserting control thereafter? As you know, certain narcissists will engage in rage baiting. All narcissists are provocative, though many don't realise that they are. They provoke because a provocation prompts a response which provides fuel, which is hugely important to the narcissist. It demonstrates that they exist. It means that the person that they're interacting with validates their existence. There are lots of different forms of provocation, and many are rather subtle. And as mentioned, many unaware narcissists don't even realise that they're being provocative or that their behaviour could be interpreted as provocative. There are some that thrive on being provocative. They love to wind people up. They love to get in people's faces. They love to prompt a reaction. These are the highly provocative narcissists that thrive on essentially being disliked, hated, reviled. It's all excellent fuel for them. It's still critical of them, but they very easily dispense with it, essentially by laughing at those that are detracting, laughing at their detractors rather. Accordingly, they receive the fuel by way of those responses, and then dismiss the challenge that is associated with it by simply thinking, you're all losers, I've just scored a goal against you, and I'm banging a model, I'm a multimillionaire, while you look like a sack of shit, and you probably go back to your left hand. That dismissive attitude allows the narcissist to jettison the threat to control, whilst milking all of the fuel caused by their controversial act in front of the away crowd. I've mentioned in a separate video about highly provocative narcissists, and I'm sure you can think of some who fall into that label, and I'd encourage you to watch that video to extend your knowledge. But what about this one's wife? Well, there's no doubt that she's provocative, but it isn't a deliberate act of hers to rage bait, either in the sense whereby she does it knowingly. I know, I'll always wear my hair down because it winds them up, or I'll always keep my jewellery on because it winds them up. No, she doesn't do that. Nor is it the case that she instinctively does it to wind people up, although it has that effect. The reason being is that she's a middle range type A narcissist, which means she actually thinks that she's a really lovely person. I know it's hard to believe, but she does. The delusion of her narcissism tells her she's kind, loving, friendly. She's a great wife, a doting mother, an ace person for people to look up to. That she empowers young girls, that the fans that support her do so because she spreads light and joy. She believes all of this shit. The overwhelming evidence that contradicts all of that isn't computed by her. Her narcissism just rejects it. It tells her, you are a good person, you are likable, and therefore it doesn't cause her to engage in rage-baiting behaviour. It might seem like that, but it doesn't, because her shtick, if you will, in relation to third parties is adore me, like me, admire me, I'm lovable, I'm wonderful, I'm kind, I'm empathic. That's the modus operandi of her narcissism. Yes, she will do things which provoke people. However, her overriding objective is one of the maintenance of this facade to show that she's this wonderful person. And therefore, her narcissism doesn't operate in the way of, I know, let's keep her hair down, let's keep her wearing the jewellery because that gets people wound up. Let's have her keep pushing in front of Harry because that irritates people. Let's have her wearing clothing which doesn't fit her because that irritates individuals. Let's have her wearing an unironed outfit because it causes people to shake their heads. No, it doesn't cause her to do that in order to provoke. That just happens to be a consequence of her behaviour. For instance, she pushes in front of Harry because of her sense of entitlement. It's not designed to actually wind anybody up. That's a collateral consequence. She wears unironed clothing because her narcissism tells her that she looks marvellous in what she wears. She doesn't purposefully keep it unironed in order to wind people up. Again, that's a collateral consequence of the fact that whatever she puts on, and the fact that she's lazy, she thinks really suits her. Whilst it's tempting to think that she may well do these things deliberately, understanding the type of narcissist that she is and the image that that projects demonstrates that she cannot be seen to be an individual that rage baits, either consciously or driven subconsciously by her narcissism. Her narcissism drives an image of being liked, of being wonderful, not of being highly provocative. Of course, she has a separate outcome because people have seen through her, and thus it is provocative to her, but that's not the actual intention of her narcissism. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.